Hey there, Robin Thompson with The Powerful Practice, and we are celebrating the successful launch of Rachel's program. Rachel, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do?
So I am Rachel Speckman. I am the founder of Made for More Coaching, and I help high performing women trade soul sucking, soul draining careers for soul aligned careers that still
Very
make
good.
them a great income.
Yep, I love this concept because it's just your timing is so good because in the last 5 years, people have really woken up to working from home. We have the rise of fractional roles. We have so many things happening at the moment. I mean, it seems like your timing into the market is perfect because the mold is starting to break, right?
The mold is starting to break, and I think the more people start to break the mold, the more companies are like, don't break the mold. Why would you break the mold? And so I'm finding that people who connect with me are sort of done with the mold.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a matter of right time and right offer and right person coming together, which is why you have this traction so far. You've already got your first two clients in there. We got how much in revenue so far?
10,000 in revenue so far.
Nice. Okay. So you're on your way. Early days. It looks like we just need to keep executing consistently. And that's what we need to focus on now. And I know you have 100 questions for me after this call, but I wanted to take a minute here just to properly celebrate it. So
Thank
tell me,
you.
why did you decide to start doing this?
Okay, so I am a career changer to becoming a therapist, and I've always had an entrepreneurial bone to me. And I really found that I was having a hard time finding my people as therapists. And by that, I mean, there are a lot of career therapists, but I knew I wanted to do something beyond kind of traditional therapy. And a friend sent me a visual of yours that actually changed my life. It was sort of a traditional therapist does these things, an entrepreneurial therapist does these things. And I was like, that's me. I'm an entrepreneurial therapist. So I joined because I wanted like-minded people. I wanted to feel, I guess, coached really, or connected to somebody who got that vision for me. And I also I have a career coaching business that's been up and running. It's very similar to a therapy model. It's sort of time for money. And I thought, well, how can I scale this?
Where was the biggest struggle in putting your program together? What would you say you struggled with the most? I can tell you took action very well, and that's why you got launched so quickly. You got launched in, I would say, about half the time that a lot of my folks do. But where would you say the actual internal fighting inside of yourself or struggling was?
So I left the corporate world in 2020 and said, I'm going to become a therapist. I'm not going to go on LinkedIn. I would joke that in the corporate world, you sneeze and you put it on LinkedIn. And in therapy, you have a trauma breakthrough that's going to change the rest of your life. And then you just go to the next client. And so for me, a comfort zone actually has been getting back on LinkedIn and promoting what I'm doing. And I wasn't the person who said, I'm never going to go on LinkedIn again. But I felt like it was kind of like too capitalist, too corporate, but I'm like, this is actually a microphone to the people who need to hear what's happening, or like the voice. People are like, I know you're all over LinkedIn. Wow, I haven't heard from you, which also is good timing because basically everybody disappeared for the last 5 years, or many people did. It has been a big challenge I just told you I was on a podcast this morning. I joke, I've never looked at my face this often. So it's really been being comfortable promoting myself.
So a lot of the things that I think people have when it comes to doing social is you defined it as a microphone, which is a good way of defining it, because what you haven't been doing is posting pictures of your lunch or behaving like a dancing monkey, which is what a lot of people think they have to do whenever they get on social. It's the opposite. I mean, you're just basically teaching what you love to teach, right?
Yeah, I did post a picture of me doing an outdoor swim last week on LinkedIn, and I thought, is this an appropriate post? But then I thought, wait, I want to show people that they can really own their time more and be creative when they're not at work. So I made it, as you and I have talked about, I made it connected to my Domino statement, which said this is, and I actually used that post to say, not only did I get fresh air today, it re-energized me to get back to work that I love doing. How can I help you do that?
That's good. It's not what most mental health professionals are expected to do, is post someone from the personal life, but most of them just teach what they teach. But what you did was you turned it into a teaching moment. Exactly. One of the questions I love to ask people when they've had a successful launch of their program, they're now on the other side of this process where you didn't know what was going to happen and you weren't sure how things were going to go. What advice do you have like constructive advice, or what would you say to the therapists who have the same potential as you to create something different, but they're sitting on the fence, or they're not sure if they want to do this, or they're not sure of what their colleagues might say about them if they do this, and all that kind of stuff that comes up?
Okay, I'm going to answer this. And also, I want to go back to one of my biggest challenges, which I think connects to this question. Selling yourself is such a skill, and selling your value. That has probably, as you know, you've listened to a lot of my, I don't even like the word sales calls. I'm calling them value calls with people now. Like I don't, I help people think about networking differently. It's not networking, it's connecting. So to answer your question, I would encourage people I talk about your program all of the time. Just take the leap, because it's a lot about self-belief. When you think about putting money towards something, really, this is where my sales piece has really been activated, like my mentality around it. Like, it is bringing value into your life in a very different way. The monetary amount that I've spent on your program versus the value, you can't even compare the two, because I just feel like a different person now. And that's the goal that I'm hoping to give my clients, that they feel so much more alive and aligned and connected to their careers.
Precisely. It is about passing it on, and that's a great way to think about it, because it is a shift that we make. I teach the marketing stuff, I teach how to put together a program, but at the same time, there's an internal shift that's taking place in a person as they prepare to launch a business. Like a business that can scale. And I mean, a real business as opposed to owning a job. And most therapists kind of own their own job. And it is an internal factor that comes in place there at a journey that people go on. I think you see other people in the group who are going through that, and you hear the same themes as they start to do it, and you start to recognize the issue under the issue.
When I started building my curriculum, instead of going right into like resume and cover letter and this, I said, no, I'm going to make the whole first part of the curriculum mindset. And the mindset, because most people come to me and they're stuck. Well, I can't change. Well, you're not going to change if that's your thought. So instead, we go deep, and then we do mindset application, and then we start going through the tools. And I use a lot of psychological tools around, well, how does change happen? We have to let ourselves make change. We have to shed our skin, all of those things that I have in my curriculum.
Exactly. Well, very good. Well, you're off to the races. This is the first step and it's the biggest step, because honestly, the first revenue that comes into the program is the scariest. It's also the biggest celebration. And now it's just about creating that consistent momentum, and I can't wait to see where you are in 6 months and 12 months. I got a really great feeling about what's going to happen.
Thank you. I have a lot of work to do, but I feel really, really energized. So thank you. Thank you so much, Robin.